Hey, good morning, Hampton Roads. John King, Berkshire Hathaway, RW Town Realty. And here it is, Monday. It's time for the market stat updates. So last week I gave you kind of an overview, a little bit longer video on how I break things down. I'm not going to repeat myself this week. So if anything doesn't make sense, just reference last week's video. So we'll dive in. As most of you know, it is a holiday, federal holiday, so the banks are closed. So some of the numbers I'm going to kind of skip over as they will be not quite accurate because the source that I get these from is closed on Mondays, right? So as far as the holiday is concerned, so they're closed on the holiday. So some of these numbers would be inaccurate. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time posting them as a result of that, but some of them are accurate. And so we'll go over those here today. So looking at inventory, we are up this week by 1.6%. We have a total of 4,283 homes available for sale throughout all of Hampton Roads, including the city of Poquoson. So 8 cities we're covering here. New listings for the week is up, right? Here we are starting the fourth quarter, mid-October. A lot of people, again, say, oh, there's no homes going for sale. Nobody's buying, nobody's selling, yada, yada, yada. Well, here we are up this week in inventory, almost 8%, 526 new homes hit the market, and that's up almost 8% from last week. Okay, all the pendings that we go through, like what's went under contract. Remember last week how I told you I itemized them 0 to 250, 250 to 450, 450 to 700, 700, all the way up to the big daddy homes we have for sale here in Hampton Roads, right? Not going to go over those this week because a lot of those haven't been turned in from the weekend. And so we'll see those stabilize and normalize as we get through this week. And I'll report on those next week for better accuracy. All right. What else do we have? Price reductions. All right. We can definitely bet that those are going to be accurate. Most of those would have been inputted on Friday or throughout last week. Not a lot of inputting is done on the weekends as far as new homes or changes within these numbers or market stats. So price reductions, we're seeing those up almost 2%. Big indication that homes that are entering the market are just priced too high. A lot of the agents, unfortunately, don't do this research, so they can't articulate to their clients as to where they should be forecasting pricing, especially when the market might be doing a little bit of this or flatlining, or even if it's going up. You have to forecast. We get the sales and how things are moving and comparing your home to others that are on the market, but those are always in the rears, right? Comparables are sold homes in the past 60, 90 days. But if the market's changing over the course of that time, you can see how that could be a little bit of an issue. You can't price a home in this market 60, 90, 120 days ago. You'll get burnt all day long and you'll be like catching a falling knife. So you got to stay ahead of the market. We're seeing up almost like I said, 2% in price reductions. So if you look at that, 392 reduced their price last week. We had 526 homes come to the market. That's 75% basically of all homes that are coming to the market are reducing their price. Might be indicating something. You might want to stay ahead of the market. If your home's on the market, you might talk to your agent about that. If you're thinking about putting your home on the market, find somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? Or else you could find yourself losing more than you care to, right? Let's see. And closings, that's down this week. Again, that number is going to be skewed. Courthouses are closed today. They were closed Sunday. And of course, they were closed on Saturday. So as far as the interest rates, we're seeing those stay about the 6% range. I don't look for them to go too much lower. Right now, the 10-year Treasury, which is the most closely correlated way to track interest rates. Typically, when we see the Treasury yield go down, we'll see the interest rates also follow. If the Treasury yield goes up, the mortgage rates will also rise as well, right? What is the 10-year Treasury? Just real quick, that is our bond market, government bond market here in the United States. It pays that yield out to the investors over a 10-year period, hence 10-year Treasury. So we do want to take a look at that. Over historical time, the spread between the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year fixed mortgage is somewhere between 1.5 and maybe as much as 2.5 percentage points. So if you look at the 10-year Treasury today, you'll see it's probably about 4, right? And so if we just do simple math, we know that the interest rates on the 30-year fixed should be somewhere 5.5, maybe 6.5. They are right around the 6% mark right now. So we're seeing the spread actually get back into historical range, which is pretty good. That's showing some stability there in the interest rates. Of course, inflation news, economic politics, of course, can have something to do with that as far as any kind of changes. But we're seeing some stability there. Do not look for the interest rates to go much lower, right? If we start seeing I don't see the yield on the 10-year Treasury dropping too much into the threes, right? Unless we start seeing a lot of people wanting to safeguard their investments and their cash, because remember, the 10-year Treasury across the world is the most safest asset or purchase investment rather. It's safe. It's backed by the United States government. So sometimes when we see volatility in the economy, we see money pouring into the Treasury, which then lowers the rates. So right now we've seen a little bit of that. We've also seen with some of the other things going on where other investors, countries, et cetera, have dumped off some of those bonds, which is why you'll see the 10-year Treasury fluctuating quite a bit. But right now we're in pretty good shape. Rates in the low sixes, maybe even fives. Lower if you're looking at some creative financing, perhaps some ARMs, things like that. 15-year instead of a 30 could get you down into the fours, maybe even upper fours and fives. So that's your market date for the week. Again, wanted to keep this video a little bit shorter. I hope you enjoy it. If you got any questions, comment below. And I'll see you guys next week for next week's market update, which will have some stability after this holiday. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you soon.